There's something undeniably captivating about exploring abandoned places. Maybe it's the thrill of venturing into the unknown, or the excitement of uncovering secrets that have been hidden for decades. Whatever the reason, abandoned places have a certain allure to them that draws adventurers in, even when the rational part of our brain tells us to stay away. But venturing into these places alone at night takes the thrill to a whole new level. It's no secret that abandoned sites can be treacherous, with crumbling structures, jagged edges, and hidden pitfalls waiting to cause injury. And when you add the cover of darkness, the risks multiply exponentially. You're not just dealing with physical hazards, but also the very real threat of wild animals that may have made these abandoned places their home. And then there's the risk of getting lost, which can be a daunting prospect even in the brightest of daylight. As if all those risks weren't enough, there's also the psychological toll of exploring abandoned places at night. The darkness can play tricks on your mind, making you see and hear things that aren't really there. And when you're alone, the silence can be deafening, making every creak and groan sound like a sinister presence lurking in the shadows. It's a recipe for disaster, and yet many of us are drawn to it like moths to a flame. But what really takes the cake is the unknown. You never know what kind of secrets these abandoned places hold, or what kind of history they've witnessed. It's like venturing into a real-life horror movie, where the boundaries between reality and fiction are blurred. There are some abandoned places that are particularly notorious for their haunted atmospheres and eerie stories. Take, for instance, the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, which was the inspiration behind Stephen King's The Shining, or the abandoned asylum in Pripyat, Ukraine, which was evacuated overnight after the Chernobyl disaster. These places have a certain aura about them that sends shivers down your spine, even in the daylight. And then there are places like the La Laurie House in New Orleans, which was once the home of a wealthy socialite who tortured and murdered her slaves. The house is said to be haunted by the spirits of her victims, and people have reported all manner of strange occurrences, from apparitions to disembodied screams. You don't have to be a believer in the paranormal to feel a sense of unease in places like these. Of course, not all abandoned places are necessarily haunted, but that doesn't mean they're not terrifying in their own right. Take, for instance, the Centralia mine in Pennsylvania, which has been burning underground since the 1960s. The place is like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, with smoke billowing out of the ground and the sound of burning coal in the distance. It's like walking into a real-life nightmare, and yet people still venture in, despite the warnings. But what happens when things take a turn for the worse? I've got a story that'll send chills down your spine. A group of friends decided to explore an abandoned hospital in the middle of the night, thinking it would be a fun and thrilling adventure. They made it in just fine, but things started to go wrong when they stumbled upon a room that was locked from the inside. They heard strange noises, like whispers and footsteps, and before they knew it, the doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. They were lucky to make it out alive, but the experience left them shaken. It's stories like these that remind us of the importance of safety and caution when exploring abandoned places, especially at night. It's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the adventure, but it's crucial to remember that these places are not just abandoned, they're also potentially dangerous. So if you're thinking of exploring abandoned places, make sure you take the necessary precautions. Go with a group, bring the right gear, and don't take unnecessary risks. And most importantly, don't venture in alone at night, no matter how thrilling it may seem. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of abandoned places. If you've got a story to share about your own experiences or fears regarding these places, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to explore more of the unknown, be sure to check out my other videos on abandoned places and the supernatural.